Recon Athlete Podcast is brought to you by Kreitz Market, The Social, and Focus Fit San Marcos. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 76. Good morning, everybody. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line. Zach Luceto, where you at? Shout out to Snoop Daniel over in the green room here at Paddock Studios. We chilling this morning, hanging out. Shout out to everybody on the watch party so far. Emo's out there. Paul Bazan, straight out of Gregory, Texas. Shout out to Melanie, of course, on there. Mandy. And I already said what's up to Emo. So appreciate everybody joining us early this morning. Mr. Paul Rodriguez on the line. Paul, how are you today?
Man, what the hell did we just listen to? Oh my God. That was funny, but that was like kind of gross to admit that.
Hey man, but you know what? The point of the story is, dude, you just got to keep living your life, dude. Like, you know, if you see an opportunity, you try to take it. You know what I'm saying, man? You know, like, and even if it doesn't work out the way you thought it would, you know, I mean, you still got to go and take those chances, right? I mean, right?
I mean, when she's a real Tahina, bro, I guess you got to make do with what you got to do, bro. I'm just saying. But
I mean, you know, I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I mean,
you are right.
That's why, you know, there was a funny story, but at the same time, like, you know, there's a message behind it, man. Like, you know, like we still got to keep going, man. Even though we're not, you know, whatever it is we're striving for, we might not, you know, get it right away, or things might not go the way we want it to. You know, especially, you know, if you get farted on and you don't get the number, you still got to try, you know.
And this segment was brought to you by Chris Sanchez's Parables. Yeah, bro, you're right. I mean, you are right.
All right, Recon Athlete, episode 76. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez. We're kind of go a little bit of UFC 249. There was some breaking news this morning on the pay-per-view. We had one fighter actually test positive for coronavirus. Talk about that a little bit. We'll stay with the fight game as well. Oscar De La Hoya and Connor McGregor kind of been trading barbs a little bit on Twitter. I'm talking about you know, fighting, because we've been talking about, you know, Mike Tyson getting in the ring again, and you know we've you know, we've already had the circus that was Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, and now, you know, De La Hoya was asked a question, he answered it, and then Conor kind of, you know, said, you know, I'll take on your challenge, when it really wasn't a challenge. But we'll talk about that later. Also, you know, Paul, you were on Flex ATX last night. Shout out to Snoop Daniel on Flex ATX and the Horn as well, for having Paul on last night. So we'll talk some recruiting news. I've got your first segment recorded, so we'll play that, Paul, with you and Snoop, and then we'll talk some recruiting news as well. And then, you know, kind of potpourri, you know, other topics as assigned. We'll see what goes on. Emo's already saying go Dolphins on the watch party.
Ask him what number. Emo, what number is Tua gonna wear? Since you're newly owned Dolphins fan. See if he comes back in the comment.
Yeah. Emo, let us know what number is Tua gonna wear. So
no, I already know. I just don't want him to go search for it. I want him to know off the top of his head, like a true Dolphins fan, because we all know he can't wear 13 because of Mr. Dan Marino.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Some breaking news this morning. You know, we don't have a whole lot of live sports. UFC is one of the, you know, just few live sports. I mean, we got UFC, we got wrestling, we got, you know, Chinese and Korean baseball. You know, maybe if you can find a live stream of some esports, I know we got some Call of Duty going on, but we got to try to find where that stream is. I don't know. I mean, it's called esports. I don't know how sports it is, but it's esports. I mean, whatever. It's competition. Yeah. Snoop's hyped about it. So Emo says he's not sure, but he won't play. He's saying that. Okay.
He's going to wear number 1 and he will play.
So he's going to play he's going to be wearing number 1. So shout out to James getting on the watch party, and shout out to Chris Partita, and Camille. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, breaking news this morning out of UFC 249 was that the fighter Ronaldo Souza tested positive for coronavirus, and not only did he test positive, but 2 of his cornermen tested positive as well. And they had all 3 of them were asymptomatic, so meaning they didn't have fever or cough or headaches or whatever it is that that the COVID-19 Corona hashtag Rona, aka whatever you want to call it. They didn't show any symptoms of that, but they've been consistently testing everybody there. There's about 300 people involved in this production, and they've conducted 1,200 tests over these past few days. Souza was involved with the distance stare down, where I guess they were kind of far away from each other wearing masks. And so here's my thing, Paul. I mean, I've got several questions about UFC. I'm not questioning the fact that they're putting it on. I mean, I applaud Dana White and UFC and trying to put this on, but it's like, okay, so you have these 3 people involved in your production, but you're still going on with the show. I mean, are they worried? I mean, I guess maybe they're not worried that this coronavirus is kind of seeping through the rest of the 300 people. I mean, how many people were these 3 people? How many they came in contact with, and to me, it's just like, man, like, I don't know if I would keep me going. I mean, I guess at this point, it's too late to cancel, and you have no choice but to keep the show going. I mean, I guess that's what the mindset for UFC and Dana White is right now, Paul.
I mean, you got to, Chris. These guys are human weapons, bro. I mean, they're there to go compete and to show off their skills, but at the same time, they're not civilized human beings. That's the other thing too. Like, everybody's no, and this isn't a disrespect. This is purely a primal event, a primal combat event. And I think that when we look through the lens at a virus as catastrophic as COVID-19 has been, we look through it through a civilized lens. And with these individuals, they're looking at a pure sport that they have kind of honed and has become a part of their ethos. And when you have that warrior ethos, these individuals could care less about a virus, because they're going to be competing against another human being who wants to maim them. Mm-hmm. And when you have that mindset, they understand the risk, and that's why they continue to train and participate in this sport. But at the same time, you start having to think about who are the individuals are around, like you had mentioned, and then you start to think about, well, the people who at the hotel, they don't probably look at this with a warrior mindset. They look at this with a civilized lens, and so there's too many variables, I think, to control. And I think Dana White and ESPN knew that going in, and they said, we're willing to take the risk as long as we can continue to do our diligence and test. But my biggest thing is, if this guy was asymptomatic, why did they allow him to come to the hotel and to the venue? Why weren't their tests conducted prior to him arriving? And if they were done prior, then how the hell did he contract it within the short time he was in the hotel? So there's a lot of factors, a lot of questions. But as far as Dana White and the rest of those fighters, they could give two shits that there's a pandemic going on. They want to go compete in the sport that they love, and they're saying, I'm going to get into a cage with a man who wants to potentially kill me. That's the ultimate risk. I'm not going to care if a virus wants to make me sick or not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm looking at it through and trying to see both sides. I understand, society's understanding and concern and trying to be proactive to be safe and be healthy. But at the same time, I can understand the other side and see that these guys want to compete. And Chris, remember, this is how these people feed their families. They need to earn an income, and this is how they do it.
So apparently Souza had been in contact with a family member that might have been exposed to the coronavirus.
Then shame on Dana White. Shame on Dana White. He should have isolated all these fighters prior to this event. And by isolate, I mean put these guys in a room for 15 days so they have no exposure except to the guys in their camp, and then bring them to the venue. To me, that's a poor logistical planning on his end.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, but you don't know what everybody's doing. I mean, you're talking about 300 people and being able to track their movements, consistently, what everybody's doing. I mean, it's almost impossible to be able to, just know where everybody's, who they're in contact with, where they're going. I mean, Susie even said like he's been trying to, be isolated, but there's things that he needs to do, like go to the store, like, do something. I don't know. I have no idea.
Chris, you have a cousin who was a very an elite boxer. I'm pretty sure when he's in camp, he's not going to the grocery store. He has someone in his camp going to the grocery store for him. These guys are the elite. These guys aren't backroom warehouse brawlers. These guys are on the UFC, the elite of the elite for mixed martial arts. They have someone who does those menial tasks for them. And that's why I just find it. I'm calling bullshit on it. I'm calling bullshit. These guys are going to do what they want when they want. And here you go. You're probably going to lose a payday because you couldn't keep yourself isolated before this event.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know if they, I didn't read in the, I haven't seen if they've replaced a fighter on the fight card, but I'm sure they had somebody, ready to go. Oh, here we go. Hold on.
Bueno.
Anda.
Age before beauty. That's what I always say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Try to merge these calls. Oh, dang it. There we go. Boom, boom. All right. Zach's here, Paul. Say hello.
Hello. What's going on, Zach? What's going on, Paul? What did you make? Did you go get your donut run or coffee run? What's going on? My age before beauty. Oh my goodness. We told you to call in at a minute before the show.
Age of before
y'all
beauty.
Gotta call it. Y'all gotta talk first. Age before beauty.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like you just woke up.
Zach Lucetto is on the line now with Paul Rodriguez and myself.
Rona was found in. Dang.
What, UFC? Did you see that? We were just talking about UFC fighter.
No, apparently it was found in sperm.
Oh, are you on the?
Oh my God, you digging deep, bro.
Are you on the watch party? Shout out to James.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. Is that true? I mean, I guess you Google that for us, Zach, and let us know. So we're talking, Zach, about the fighter, Ronaldo Souza, coming down with the coronavirus. That's coming up today. So my other issue with this UFC 249, Paul, is the fact that, and I know we're trying to make money. I know that the name of the game is making money. But why is it still pay-per-view? I'm not a fan of that right now. I mean, we know there's. I think because. Go ahead.
I think that's because there's their card is so stacked, and I think for Dana White and ESPN, I mean, I keep saying Dana White, and when I say Dana White, I mean the UFC. And so by the UFC, I think they're trying to, probably recoup a little bit of revenue that they've lost with their events being out for 2 months, and they have multiple events like every month, and so for them to be out of the game for 2 months is probably they're losing millions, if not hundreds of tens of millions with lost revenue, lost endorsements and advertising. And I feel like, pay-per-view with this kind of card, I mean, I'm not an expert in MMA, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that the type of fighters that are on the top of the bill, they're probably worth pay-per-view type of orders. And so Dana White felt it, or UFC felt it, the need to continue to move forward with that type of matchup. And I really wish we could have, a UFC-centric kind of mindset on the show to kind of maybe break that down. But, I mean, would you pay-per-view a big game, or are we just lucky that we get other sports that are high profile for cable or streaming and not have to pay additional money for it?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, we're us here on the line here and that are involved with Recon Athlete, myself, you, Paul, and Zach, and also our affiliate homie, Snoop Daniel. We're all fortunate enough that we still are gainfully employed, I mean, and when you're talking about, a lot of the people out there that are wanting to watch this fight, I think UFC, the main demo, the main crowd is a lot of blue collar workers. And I think a lot of those people are out of work right now. I don't think they have money to get a pay-per-view. So I think for me, it's kind of maybe a PR thing for Dana White, and that he's, possibly turning his back on his fans and saying, you know what, you want to watch this fight, then you got to pay for it. Even though there's 30 million people that are out of work in the United States right now. I don't really care about that. So, I mean, I think to me, it's a PR thing for UFC. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about it, and I'll be interested to see what the numbers are for this pay-per-view. But you got to, as a promoter, I think you got to kind of factor that in a little bit. I do realize that it is a numbers game and it's a money game. But right now, I mean, I think it's a people game too. So you got to kind of factor that in. Zach Lucetto, you got anything on that take?
Okay, well, I feel like he's thinking that people are missing live sporting events so much that people that wouldn't normally pay would pay.
Okay.
Like it's the opposite angle from what you're saying.
Okay. So you're saying that they'll use their unemployment check because they're so hungry for any type of live sports to pay for this pay-per-view.
Or the stimulus.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I mean, I just, to me, I mean, it would be goodwill for the UFC to put this on, just, put it on a major network, get some advertising dollars.
You're talking to Disney right now, right? And all Disney cares about is making money off of families and children and the parents. That's their aim.
Yeah.
This is a Disney product. This is ESPN is owned by Disney, and ESPN owns UFC. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
That evil empire doesn't care about nothing but money.
All right, U.S. imperialism. Uh-oh. Hey, let's not get into that. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucetto.
What? What was it?
Snoop Daniel, Recon Athlete, episode 76. Oh man, we don't want to talk about it. We'll wait for BJ to get on the line so we can talk about.
Nobody else will be able to talk if he's on the line.
That's true. So, Zach, do you know anything about UFC? Because I want to talk about these fights, but I have to say, I have to admit, I know absolutely nothing about UFC. Shout out to Paul Bazan because he does. He was shouting out Tony Ferguson.
I know George St. Pierre. I know.
That's the thing. Like, who else? Connor McGregor.
Cesar Ruiz. I know Cesar Lucero. I know. Who else do I know? Who's my favorite fighter? I like Ernesto Aguilar. That's my roommate in college.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to say. I mean, it's Tony Ferguson and Justin. I don't even know how to say his last name, but that's the Justin something Gaethje. That's the main event. Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz, the bantamweight title. A lot of these names I can't even pronounce. Francis Ngannou versus Jair Rosenstruck, heavyweights. Obviously, you
know the last one.
Who?
You know Greg Hardy. You know who that is. Cowboy fan.
Greg Hardy? Oh, really?
Yeah, Greg Hardy's
Greg Hardy, the old cowboy?
Yeah.
What?
That's who that is, fighting Jorgen De Castro.
See, that's the thing. I don't even know this. I mean, that's how little I have to admit. That's how little I follow.
Because you're biased.
That's how little I follow UFC. I'm sorry. I'm a boxing guy. I don't really I enjoy watching UFC if it's on. Like, I'll go down to Corner Bar. Shout out to Lockery. They always put the UFC fights on Saturdays. And they'll do it for free and let everybody come and hang out. Probably, I mean, of course, not right now. With everything going on. So, but I really don't know who these guys are. I mean, I'll watch it. I mean, it's fun to watch. I'm not trying to dog UFC. I'm just not a UFC guy. So I don't know. I guess I'd watch Greg Hardy versus Jorgen De Castro just because I know who Greg Hardy is. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to find somebody. Maybe I can get Paul Bazan to call in and do some UFC stuff. So we'll see. All right, Recon Athlete episode 76. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Luceto on the line. Shout out to Snoop Daniel over there. Oscar De La Hoya. We'll kind of make a little transition between UFC and boxing. So earlier this week, I don't know if you guys saw this. Did you see this? Did you hear about this? Oscar De La Hoya was doing an interview, and he was asked about Connor McGregor and how he would do in the ring against Connor McGregor. And Oscar De La Hoya said that he would knock out McGregor in the second round. And McGregor comes back on Twitter and says, "Challenge accepted." Oscar De La Hoya comes back and tweets back, "I wasn't challenging you. I was just saying what would happen if we met in the ring." Now, Oscar De La Hoya, I'm assuming, and some of the things that I've read is, I mean, we remember, the McGregor Mayweather fight and how that took a lot away from the first Canelo versus Triple G fight because it was like a few weeks beforehand. So I think De La Hoya probably has, a little bit of bitterness there. So I think when he was asked this question, he was just kind of playing off the cuff. And I don't think that he would really try to get back into the ring. That's just not where he's at. But let's say he does. An older, withering Oscar De La Hoya taking on Conor McGregor. I'd have to give Conor McGregor a chance here, Paul Rodriguez.
Well, first, Oscar's going to need to put down the cocaine and the booze and get in shape. So, yeah, Oscar, put down the cocaine. But, man, if De La Hoya can train and he can get on the supplements or vitamins that Mike Tyson got on, I don't know if y'all seen that picture of 2019 Mike and 2020 Mike.
Yeah.
Big difference in body type. So if he can get on that kind of regimen, Oscar De La Hoya would knock Conor McGregor out.
Okay. Zach, do you care about this hypothetical fight?
I don't think it's really going to happen, so I don't really care. But I feel like you have to factor in age a lot more than you think in this.
Okay, so Oscar De La Hoya is 47. McGregor is 31.
It sounds like Zach's never watched, fighters at the heavyweight level. Granted, this is not at the heavyweight level, but those guys fight until their 40s, and they still knock people out.
Yeah,
they're like currently fighting.
Man, this Oscar De La Hoya has been boxing since he was a teenager, man, or younger, and I'm pretty sure that muscle memory you never lose, the technique you never lose.
So let's say we're
okay. So you're telling me you played football for a long time. You could go out there and rush the passer.
Yes, I could rush the passer. Now, how long is it going to take me to get there is a different story.
Okay, so you can rush the passer because of muscle memory, but how good you do is going to factor in because you're old.
It's called technique. That's why I said the word technique, and then factor in the stuff of vitamins and regimen and training. That's the other half of the story.
Fair enough. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. I think this is just something to kind of get their names out there. De La Hoya they're not putting on any fights, his promotion. So I think this is just something to keep them in the headlines. Connor McGregor, of course, the last time he fought was, what was it? January? Was it this year or last year? This year. Yeah. And that was kind of a joke. He fought that dude. What was his Cowboy
Rona. Man, you must really not know any UFC because
I'm telling you,
Cowboy
bro.
Cerrone,
I don't know anything about UFC.
Cowboy Cerrone. The rumor is that Cowboy Cerrone puts on a lot of fights and puts on very exciting fights, and so Conor McGregor also knocked him out with his shoulder. That was I wouldn't call it a joke, but
well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I watched that. Didn't really look like it was much. So I mean, I don't, like I said, man, I'm not trying to say anything about UFC. I'm not saying that it's.
I think you are, Chris.
No, I'm just saying I don't know who the people are. I will watch it and it's entertaining, and I get it that why people watch it and why it's so popular. I'm just not a UFC guy. All right, Recon Athlete episode 76. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero. Shout out to Snoop Daniel. Kind of going through these topics pretty quick. Zach, you got anything for us? I wanted to get into some recruiting news before we get to that with Paul and Snoop. You got anything for us that you want to talk this morning, Zach?
No, I mean we just talked 2 days ago, so nothing really came up since.
Fair enough.
You still playing volleyball at the park, or they kicked you out?
No, I'll probably just do that once a week. So I probably won't do it again until Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
Is there like anybody giving you kind of like grief or telling y'all like y'all shouldn't be there, or just people minding their own business when y'all playing?
Honestly, like the park is in Steiner Ranch, and it's like really kind of deep in Steiner Ranch. So like it's kind of off the beaten path. It's kind of like a secluded little park. And I mean, there's people at the park. Like there's people on the basketball court. They opened up the tennis courts back up. There's like I pulled up and there were some other Vanderbilt kids playing spike ball on the court. So I mean, no one really says anything to us.
Because you're in Steiner Ranch. Okay.
As long as we keep our music down and don't let it say too many cuss words, then we won't draw any attention to ourselves.
Smart.
Okay. Oh, here's something. So let's see. Cavaliers became one of the first teams in the NBA to reopen their practice facility for voluntary individual workouts, and looks like Kevin Love was one of the first players to go. So it's encouraging, right, guys? NBA's open up their practice facilities.
Kind of unfair, right?
Huh?
Kind of unfair, right?
What do you mean?
So like the Knicks will just never be able to practice.
Oh, because they're in New York?
Like the Kings will never be able to practice. The Lakers never be able to practice.
Portland Trailblazers, they're kind of in the Pacific Northwest is a hotbed. They open their doors. I guess.
But I just mean like not all states are moving at the same pace. So
yeah, I mean
that's players not practicing.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing. Also, like, I mean, if you're an NBA basketball player, I'm assuming you have access. If you don't have a court like in your backyard, you have access to a court somewhere, right?
I don't know. Yeah,
Driveway.
I don't know if you watched that horse contest. Some of those people don't have the most efficient setup.
Yeah, that's true. I know. And I did watch the NBA 2K stuff, and a lot of the players are kind of just in like little apartments, So, yeah. But anyway, Kevin Love said when he arrived at the Cleveland Clinic courts in Ohio. He was screened before entering the facility. And I was just reading off of ESPN.com right here. He said he was asked a few questions, and quote, he said, how we're feeling, if anybody has been sick in the house, if we've been sick, if we've basically adhered to all the guidelines that are put in place, not only by the NBA, but state to state. So each player had his own half court to work out, and an assistant coach wearing a mask and gloves accompanying him to pass and rebound. The coaches were wearing latex gloves. So one of the Cavs coach said, latex gloves make your hands sweat more than I ever knew. Definitely took a little getting used to, but definitely the safest technique right now if you think about it. So the NBA is trying. They're opening up some facilities. And Zach, I think you do have a good point. I mean, yeah, the Knicks might not be, or the Nets, you know, they might not have access, but I think it's up to the NBA teams. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, but it's up to the team, but they have to follow the state and local guidelines.
But I mean, I think even in New York, I mean, like, well, Paul, weren't you talking earlier? Like, there's people like in Queens just walking around.
Yeah. So there was one of the Instagram pages that I followed. They were out in Queens, New York, and people are starting. They're letting people move around now, and so people are out and about. Because in New York you have to walk everywhere. Chris, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, and so people have masks, and the people have masks that are on their face, but they're wearing them under their chin. And so, the whole point is kind of thrown out the window when you wear the mask that way. And so I'm pretty sure that, as time goes on, we're probably going to see more people have masks, but they're not going to be wearing them properly. And so it's going to defeat the whole purpose, because I think people are just, they don't want to breathe through a mask. They don't want to talk and communicate through a mask. And I think people are at a point now where they just don't care anymore. And they understand that there's a virus. They understand there's a pandemic. They understand that there's treatment available if you get sick. And so they're saying, well, if we're going to have to do it this way, we'll comply with wearing a mask, but we're going to pick and choose how we're going to wear it. So there's that. But again, I think what Zach's point is that I think it is a bit unfair if you have to follow different rules than somebody else in a state that has, less rules. And maybe that can affect or maybe that'll have an impact on, how well they play. And, if you're the Knicks, it really doesn't matter because you're a horrible basketball team either way.
True. Zach?
I agree.
Dang it, Zach. I was trying to take a sip of my coffee. I thought you were going to say something. But yeah, I mean, I guess I understand that because you can't say like, oh, well, the Cavs, Kevin Love gets to go shoot at the practice facility and, the New York Knicks players can't. So that means that Kevin Love can't do that. I guess it's, it really, it depends on the team. And I'm sure the Knicks could do something to make their facility or, their practice area, I guess, attainable, reachable for the players. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is. But the whole point for me of bringing this up was just that I think it's a step in the right direction for the NBA, at least for the facilities to be opened up. I think here in the Ausstin area, we've had our stay-at-home orders extended, even though the state is technically opening in phases. Salons, barbershops are still opening up. I still haven't gone to one, but I think people are trying to get back to having a little sense of normalcy. And I think that's what, Kevin Love even says here. He says, quote, I feel like anybody who needs an escape or in everyday life is looking for any type of normalcy back doing something they love. He said, for me, I played 25-ish years of organized basketball, and this is the longest I've ever gone without touching a basketball. And it's something I really, really enjoy doing. So for me, it definitely was a big dopamine hit. Wow, big word, Kevin Love. And it just felt great to get in there and sweat outside of doing my workouts at home or getting on a treadmill. Going out there and having some sense of normalcy and getting on the court and actually shooting was pretty uplifting. So for him, it was not only just getting out and being physical, but it was something that was mentally uplifting for him as well. So Shout out to Kevin Love and the Cavs for trying to get things
Shout out
back.
to Kevin Love. That's right. Shout out Kevin Love.
Word up. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 76. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, and Zach Luceto. Zach, what's for breakfast, bro?
Sleep, video games.
Are you still doing
dinner.
NBA? Still doing NBA 2K or Madden?
No, I was playing that Apex game.
Oh, okay. You don't do Call of Duty,
The
right?
one that I won at y'all's apartment.
Oh, yeah.
You might have been asleep.
Yeah, I think I was taking a nap. You don't do Call of Duty, right?
No, I don't. I don't.
Why not?
But my character on NBA made the Rising Stars game, and I'm third in Rookie of the Year voting right now.
And what's your character's name?
Leo De La Cruz.
Did you make that up, or was it just given to you?
No, I made it up.
Why did you pick that name?
Because I like to pick some of the names that they'll actually say, the commentators actually say.
Oh,
So it's like Smith, stuff like that. De La Cruz. Like they don't say Lucero.
They won't?
No, it's too fancy.
Will they say
So I think Leo De La Cruz.
Will they say Rodriguez or Sanchez?
They'll probably say Sanchez.
Yeah. Will they say Donaldson?
100% no.
Dang.
One time, my character on MLB, I tried to pick like the craziest name he would actually say, and his name was Timoteo Yellow Horse.
You got it?
That was his name. And they would actually say it. Hello?
Timoteo, you said?
Yeah, Timoteo Yellow Horse.
Yellow Horse.
Yeah.
Okay. Zach, you're a weird one.
What are we talking about?
Well, you don't like what we're talking about, Paul. How about you come up with some show prep and tell us what to talk about?
We're talking. Yeah, Paul. Do you have anything? You have any potpourri? Any other topics as a sign?
Yeah, I want to talk about how Earl Thomas had a gun pointed at his head by his wife.
All right, start the conversation. Lead the conversation. Come on.
Here we go.
So,
I didn't even want to talk about this, but Paul, for some reason, wants to talk about this.
I just thought it was crazy because I didn't know this in the beginning of the story, but apparently on April 13th, APD was called to a domestic disturbance, and apparently Earl Thomas's wife found him naked in bed with other naked individuals along with his brother. And I was like, I didn't know this from when the story first broke.
I don't think that's true though.
I read the story. It may not be, but I read this story on ESPN. I'm fixing to say it.
Okay.
From ESPN that indicated that court records obtained by TMZ showed that when the wife was interviewed by police, she described what she found, and that was her description. That she found Earl in bed with other naked ladies and his brother naked doing I don't know what.
You know what?
Man, I don't know. I wasn't there. But what I do know is she took the weapon into the house, which was an Airbnb, because he left because there was some kind of spat that they had. And apparently she took the magazine out of the handgun that was apparently Earl's that she took from the home. But what she failed to realize was that when she was pointing the gun at his head, she didn't know there was a round in the chamber, and that had to be later disclosed by APD. And she took the magazine out because she wanted to scare Earl. But I just thought it was crazy that this all went down because of a spat that they had about whatever. And I just thought it was crazy that this all went down in Ausstin on April 13th and we knew nothing about it.
Zach?
All because of his infidelity.
I mean, I don't know. Why would we know anything about it though?
Because it happened in Ausstin.
So you think? Are you saying that it was news, but not put on the news?
It was news that didn't get released out for whatever reason, and then it comes out like practically a month later, like 20 days later, it comes out. And I just thought, it was like, man, how did the news not report this, or how did this not get leaked out to one of the Ausstin outlets?
I mean, because it's the media, man. I mean, they choose what they're going to play or what they're going to. I mean, there was no.
Like the Corona?
I mean, I will say this. Look, okay, for example, I know there's a situation that happened around the block from me. Like, literally, like less than a quarter mile, where 5 individuals tried to rob a Russell Corman jeweler. All right. This happened just 2 days ago. 5 people, 5 teenagers. They shot the security guard in the stomach. They took off. 3 of them got caught on foot. I mean, I'm pretty sure Snoop was probably around. He probably heard all the sirens, and the police helicopter was, was flying around here for hours. They caught 3 of them. One on foot got away. The other getaway driver freaked out and took off, and got away. But that's a pretty big story. I mean, you basically have like a, Grand Theft Auto style like heist trying to happen right in the middle of Ausstin, and have y'all heard about this at all?
No.
Right. Zach, have you heard about this? Like this? Nope. See? And if that happened in your neighborhood, would you want to know about it? If 5 people put together basically a coordinated heist where, a security guard was injured and they used a stolen vehicle and, they're obviously armed and dangerous, would you want to know about it? Yes.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. But the media doesn't put it out there because they don't want people to get scared. So here's the thing. The Earl Thomas story, it might have come out there. It might have been, but you know how things are here in Ausstin, man. I mean, he's a, Longhorn guy. Might have gone out there and they didn't want to say anything. It's just a whole mess, and TMZ is going to put all this stuff out there. So yeah, I mean, to me, the story is about gun safety. All right. Just because the clip isn't in there doesn't mean there's not a round in the chamber. You got to clear the chamber, right, Paul Rodriguez?
It's not a clip; it's a magazine, Chris Sanchez.
Whatever. But yes,
whatever.
What's the difference?
It's not whatever. Because it's not a clip. Okay. A clip is an old timey type of mechanism that you put rounds on, and then you loaded that clip into the rifle. With magazine is a little different. But anyways, you're right. This is gun safety.
Semantics.
We all need to be
semantics.
You need to be prepared. It's
semantics.
Not semantics. But
semantics.
Chris, I took a lot more out of what you said than just you using clip instead of magazine or whatever. I actually listen to you, so just take that into the next time you take me out as your message.
All right, word up. But I'm just saying, I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in this world that doesn't get. Bottom line for me is, Earl, I don't know what happened, bro. Like, you had an Airbnb going, for your side things. Shouldn't be doing that anyways. So he didn't. The way the wife went about it is probably the wrong way. But women scorned. You don't know what's gonna happen. But if you ain't doing stuff like that, then you ain't got to worry about it. I mean, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. So. Paul, Zach, anybody?
I agree.
Paul?
I was drinking coffee.
All right, let's move on. Shout out to James. Geez. He says prenup. Said Earl got lucky. Also, Steve McNair does not approve this message. Wow, too soon. Is it too soon? Too soon.
No, man, this has been forever.
Shout out, James. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 76. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucetto. We're going to take a little break here. Not us, but we're going to get into some recruiting news. And I do have the first interview that Paul had with Snoop last night on Flex ATX. Shout out to Snoop Daniel for showing Recon Athlete some love. It's a shout out to Snoop. And I ran out of coffee, bro. Sorry. So I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this interview. and then we'll talk a little bit of recruiting news. Let me make sure I got it in here. And all right, here we go. This is Paul Rodriguez and Snoop Daniel on Flex ATX last night, talking some recruiting.
Paul Rodriguez of Recon Sports. And Paul, before we jump into it, we're going to have you on twice tonight because we got a lot of guests. But can we talk about Kirkland and his decision to, basically skip football and go baseball?
Snoop, how you doing, man? Thank you. Yeah, for Kirkland Michaud to go baseball to blend, I think is a huge move, especially with those big SEC offers out there. But his destination is the SEC. With Texas A&M being his end goal. And that's great because it's all about what his passion is. And when you find your purpose, you're driven, nothing's going to get in your way. So I wish all the best for Kirkland. But again, big move. But if baseball is where he wants to be, man, God bless him.
All right. And Paul, we had a lot of commitments from all over the sports spectrum, but I want to kind of give you the floor and let you shine on what you thought were the biggest moves since I talked to you last Friday.
Well, I just want to highlight the couple of guests, or three of your guests that you have coming on the first hour. ACC big pickup. It's not a surprise here with Lake McCree getting that early offer this week. His partner in crime, Nate Yarnell, got that commitment last week with a commitment to Pitt. So I thought they want to double dip here at Lake Travis High. So that was really cool. And then it goes Xavier Dunlap. He picked up two big offers this week, one SEC Mississippi State offer, and then the huge offer, I think, for me, especially for running backs out of Michigan. He just picked that up a couple of days ago, running back for Del Valle High School. So Xavier is doing some big things. And for me, Aiden Canard's kind of slipped a little bit. He's not slipping, but, he's not getting those big offers. But it's a two-man race right now for offensive line. Luke Williams out of Cedar Park picked up offers from Sam Houston this week and also picked up an Abilene Christian offer. But Matthew Lee, Vandergrift Viper offensive line, has gotten three offers this week. Notre Dame College, Southwest Minnesota State, and then also today picking up Colorado School of the Mines offer for football. Big-time offers by a bunch of young men. And then I can't forget, I think your guest coming up pretty soon, Josh Cameron landing big offer today from University of Texas Permian Basin, Cedar Park. Can y'all hear us? Big time moves going on right now for the Wolves out there.
CPFB, CP proud. Man, Coach App said he'd be hammering that hashtag. What's up, BK? All right, I saw the great Brad Kellner back there. All right, so that is your recruiting news, Paul. If I can have you on it, and I will have you on real quick. I do want to say quickly a couple of more football skips to baseball. Hendrickson linebacker Freddie Cavazos, who was part of Chip Killian's football squad, all-district linebacker for the Hawks. He chose baseball. He's going to Northeast Texas JUCO. It's out in Mount Pleasant up in Dallas. And Weiss infielder Seth Joseph. I don't think he played football, but he did verbally commit to Shriner University. A couple more. We will have Cedar Park's Parker Forbes. He's a basketball player, but committed to Appalachian State for soccer earlier this week. And Aikens Daniel Alviso, class of 2020. When you're talking about soccer, one of the best in the district, commits to the West Texas A&M. So we'll talk more about that. Paul, do you have any more recruiting notes before we let you go and get to Stony Point's Kendall Thomas?
I think right now we're going to see one wide receiver out of Lampasas, Michael Murray. Can't wait to see him match up against those vaunted LBJ Jaguars, the DBs, Andrew Makuba, Trell McCutcheon. We're going to talk more about that maybe in the second hour.
Listen, okay, yeah, real quick, because you opened it, 90 seconds tops, Kendall. KT on the phone. It's his birthday. We got to get to him. But yes, okay, so Lampasas with LBJ dropping down to 4A. You talk about all that athletic talent. The only team that's going to really challenge LBJ has got to be Lampasas. And when you talk about the Michael kid getting the offers, and two back-to-back offers on day-to-day and going up against Makuba and McCutcheon, we'll actually see a marquee matchup in an Ausstin area 4A game. So that's pretty exciting. Just you're getting D1 talent in 4A, Ausstin area.
Definitely. And like I said, I'm really excited to see how that plays out too. Also, big shout out to Jai Maxwell. He got an offer last week by Lamar, LBJ Jaguar also. And then Brendan Jones, the man you seeing squatting and lifting, 24s on his back, got that offer from Air Force also. Tons of D1 talent all over the map. But Snoop, I can't wait to talk more about this in the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, 8:05. Paul Rodriguez, Recon Athlete at Recon Athlete. We'll talk more recruiting. Paul, appreciate you. Talk to you 8:05.
Hey, good job, Paul. That was Paul Rodriguez on Flex ATX with Snoop Daniel, talking some recruiting news. And I know you had another segment at 8 o'clock, Paul. I didn't get a chance to get that one before because, I was kind of slacking off this morning. But just kind of give us a little synopsis of what your 8 o'clock interview was like with Snoop.
Yeah, we really just talked about what we had spoken about on Wednesday on Recon Athlete, and we just highlighted Iman Allen and Caleb Lewis, Iman Allen, Vista Ridge Ranger, and then Caleb Lewis, the Vandergrift Viper. So that was kind of primarily the main focus. We also talked a little bit more in depth about Michael Murray, and Michael Murray's a 6'2", 180-pound receiver out of Lampasas who picked up offers from Incarnate Word and also picked up offer from Sam Houston State. And we really kind of just highlighted how San Antonio is becoming very territorial. Like, before UTSA got a football program and Incarnate Word had a program, it was pretty much dominated by Trinity University. And, with those other two big schools kind of coming up and putting more resources into their football program, when I think now with UTSA having a former high school football coach as their head coach, and as well as UIW having a former high school football coach, you're starting to see that territory get drawn. And I have a really big feeling once UIW offers a kid, UTSA won't be too far behind to kind of maybe sway them a little bit to the Roadrunners. But it's a good thing for the Ausstin area. 4A football in Lampasas, really good for them to see that come up. LBJ Jaguars dropping down. They have a ton of talent. And also in that district is going to be Liberty Hill. So 3 big teams in the Ausstin area that we're going to be able to follow. And for those who don't know, last year Lampasas beat the Liberty Hill. I can't think of Liberty Hill's mascot, but they beat
Panthers.
Liberty Hill twice within the district. Panthers, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And they went all the way to, I think, probably the semifinal round where they ran into the perennial power Carthage, and they lost in the playoff round. But, their quarterback's coming back, Ace Whitehead, really cool name, reminded me of Top Gun, but they did lose their number one receiver. The Lampasas Badgers did. They lost their number one receiver, Jalen Porter. He committed to Stephen F. Ausstin. So Michael Murray needs to be able to fill those shoes. And, I'm just looking forward to them having a really great year next year and just see how football is going to be played in that, lower division in 4A. But Chris, D1 talent, man, from 4A to 6A, really fortunate for us here in the Ausstin area to really look at these young men and see them grow as they take the next steps to the collegiate level.
Yeah, and it's it's exciting. Hopefully we can get some high school football going in the fall, late summer, early fall, to get out there and see some of these D1 guys. What I kind of want to rewind to the beginning of the interview, and you guys talking about Kirkland, for our listeners and watch party people, talk a little bit about who he is and why it's significant that he went baseball over football.
Well, Kirkland Michaud had a standing offer from Fordham University, and then later on in the year, I think a lot with how Cade Klubnik was getting these SEC offers. Earlier in this year, Mississippi State came in real late to court Kirkland Michaud with a preferred walk-on offer. And, Snoop and I had talked a little bit about him being, very baseball-centric. And, if you listened earlier in the Flex ATX broadcast last night, Kirkland talked about how his passion is in baseball. And Snoop had identified that he really was looking forward to playing baseball in the spring for the Westlake Chaparrals. And, with the COVID-19 pandemic that really got squandered because, we needed to make sure that everybody stayed healthy and safe. And so for a big state championship winning quarterback at the 6A level, who was also named the MVP of that football game, for him to make a move to baseball is a great thing for him. But I think a lot of universities were sleeping on his skill set. And unfortunately, he wants to play baseball. And I think he probably wants to play baseball at the next level. And with his frame as a pitcher, I think he'll be able to do that. So hopefully he does. He said verbally he's had some communication with the coaches at A&M for the baseball team, and he hopes that he can perform well at Blinn and then make that transition to the Aggies and be on the mound, giving them some solid innings.
Yeah. Zach Lucetto, anything to add about Kirkland Michaud and the move to baseball over football?
I think I know Paul has definitely seen it, but keeping up with all the offers on Flex, we're seeing a lot of baseball guys go JUCO right now, and I just want people to know how common that is compared to other sports. Whereas baseball, you really just want to leave that opportunity open as long as you can to get those Division I scholarships, to get the MLB looks. So you'll see a lot of the top talent, especially in the area, but a lot of top talent overall go JUCO first, just as an added option to continue the recruiting process, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's it's funny to see for people that aren't as used to the recruiting scene as we may be here on Recon, or as Flex ATX and Snoop might be. It might be funny to see, this guy got an offer, a preferred walk-on offer for an SEC football team, but he's going to go to JUCO to play baseball. And it might be funny, but it seems to be, I think you're right, Zach. It seems to be, more normal for them to go the JUCO route. Because these MLB scouts, they know what they're looking for, and if you're able to go to junior college and have an amazing year, you could possibly get drafted out of there. But really it's up to the players and to the parents, and what they see their path to success being. To shout out to Kirkland, making that decision and wanting to stay with baseball. I kind of want to get off track here a little bit, I guess, because you always hear about coaches and recruiters in the college level wanting players to play all sports. Is that possibly not the case anymore, that we're getting back to being a, I guess, one sport centric type of athlete these days? Zach, do you think that's what's happening?
I think so. I think the only thing keeping that from being like full on is too many people on Facebook and parents talking about leaving, like, cross sports and doing multiple sports and not too much specialization. But there's so much opportunity out there now to have all that specialization with all these different coaches and personal trainers and private lessons and skills coaches and stuff. It's almost fiscally irresponsible to give your child as much practice and as much added help as you can in multiple sports. So it almost makes more sense to kind of have that early kind of feeling out process and to find that one sport, and then once you've kind of got it, is to fully sink your teeth in and go all in on that one sport.
Paul Rodriguez, what do you think about that?
I don't know if we're getting away from, playing more than one sport. I think that for maybe outside of high school, that's probably the main focus. But I feel that, Zach's spot on. We have a lot of great specialists in this area in Ausstin, and I'll shout them out. Sean Rutherford is training quarterbacks like RJ Martinez. Mm-hmm. He picked up Seth Ford and trying to get Seth, a big time offer. And, I think the only really big athlete, a shout out to Chooks as well. Chooks Speed does a great thing with footwork and speed and specializing with that skill set. But I want to get back to the point where I think we only see one real big athlete right now who is having success playing multiple sports. And outside of Ryder Hernandez, I don't see a lot of athletes getting, D1 offers at the college level for baseball and for football. He's the only exception. And so outside of that anomaly, I think that you really need to be sports specific and play only one. And, it's kind of the unwritten rule right now is like you need to focus on one thing so you can put your energy into it once you get to high school, because if you don't have those repetitions, you're going to be shortchanging yourself a little bit, because there are, you know, a lot of athletes out there who are putting in time to get that sport specific training done so that they could make themselves more marketable to the next level and play a sport at the college level, whether that be, you know, soccer, baseball, football, track, you know, the girl side, volleyball. It just depends, you know, what you really want to do. And so I think I think we are getting more sports centric compared to maybe in years past.
Yeah, that's a good point, Paul. I mean, you just kind of bring up the girls side. You know, we really don't talk a whole lot about the recruiting side on that. And I mean, Zach, you kind of have a little bit of finger on the pulse of volleyball. I mean, is that what you see on the girl side of recruiting with volleyball? I mean, do they have any of the star volleyball players also basketball players? I mean, I don't know. I'm not really familiar. Maybe Snoop can help us out with that. But Zach, what do you think?
I mean, first I want to talk about Roger Hernandez first.
Okay.
I mean, with him, you see him already committed for baseball. I guarantee you the majority of his specialization is in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him getting offers for football, and I think that's surely off of his on-field performance. I don't think he's necessarily going to the camps or having the people help with recruiting for football, because I think he's more all in on baseball. So I think it is more sports specific even for him, where, because I guarantee you that for him to have the success in baseball, I'm sure he's playing in one of the top organizations for select baseball. I'm sure he has a hitting coach. I'm sure he goes to a coach for defensive work as well. So, I mean, even for a guy like that, you see more specialization in one than the other. I mean, I don't think we've seen someone have multi-sport success. I mean, if you want to talk multi-sport success, I'm talking about guys like Kyler Murray, where you know they have specialization for both. You know, we've seen guys like his dad for football. You know, he has a coach for baseball. And I think that's evident with guys like Seth Ford, who are multi-sport stars. But you see, in terms of recruiting, it's not quite there where it possibly could be with the type of talent and brain that guy has if he were to be super, super all in on one sport and have the type of specialization in that sport. And in terms of volleyball, I think some of the most rigorous, like, traveling in terms of AAU select club sports is volleyball. So, I mean, those people, unless you have some of the girls that are just huge in terms of, like, height, that they're kind of forced by their coaches to play basketball. Most of these girls are doing one or the other. If they're playing basketball, they're playing AAU. They have a shooting coach. They have someone they work with on the side. They have their club team, their AAU team that they travel all over the place with. Some of these are very expensive teams to play with in terms of just team fees and travel. And I know volleyball, some of the biggest clubs, those clubs have indoor volleyball as well as beach volleyball. That's a year-round commitment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, like, I don't know if Emo's on here, but he would probably, chime in with girls soccer. I mean, that's something that's a huge, just, a commitment just to get, just to get out there and play, because they're playing pretty much year round, and then they travel, all the time. So, yeah, I mean, right now, I guess, that we're kind of skewing towards the specialization. I mean, I think when 20 years ago, a long time ago, when I was, in high school, there was the specialization, and then I feel like it kind of got away from that. And I think maybe it's just cycling around again. And maybe it's just, just now it's back to where we have, specialization for these players, especially the ones that are getting D1 looks in a certain sport. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 76, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucetto. Shout out to Snoop Daniel over there in their green room. Anything else, guys?
Hey, I want to give a shout out to my sister. My sister is graduating college today.
Oh, yeah? Word up.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zach's sister. What's her name?
Like graduating, like with air quotes because they're not really graduating. But yeah, she's graduating from Southwestern University today. She's going to be a teacher.
Okay, awesome. Where's she going to teach at? Do you know?
She wants to stay in Georgetown, so she's looking in like Georgetown, Round Rock, kind of surrounding area, ISCs.
Okay.
But I'm trying to tell her to kind of broaden her horizons further than that. I mean, because you're in Georgetown, it's pretty central to like Liberty Hill. You could go more north. You could go, I mean, even back into Pflugerville and places like that. So she has a lot of options, I think.
Yeah, she can come over to Manor.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, if y'all are hiring, let me know. I'll tell her to put some applications out.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Look it up. So, yeah, shout out to Zach's sister. What was her name? You didn't say.
Well, what's her name? Her name is Maddie Lucero.
No, I said, what's her name? Yeah, Maddie. Shout out Maddie Lucero. Are they doing it? They're not doing anything like Zoom or any kind of.
No, I think they put together like a little video with like everybody's picture or something, but really they're not doing anything like any sort of like virtual ceremony or anything like that. I don't think.
Oh, okay. All right. So shout out to.
I'm trying to buy her Tips Treats right now. They got you could buy a single paper towel roll. They got a whole loaf of bread, a case of water. So in case during the pandemic, if your grocery store ever runs out of stuff, you could order Tips Treats, I guess.
Oh man, you know my address. You can send me some Tips Treats. All right. Any? Come on, dog, man. I'm losing weight, dog. Yeah. All right. Episode 76. Let's wrap this thing up. Zach, was that your shout out?
No, I also got to shout out me.
Yeah.
That's first.
Word up. Paul Rodriguez. Any shout outs?
Yeah, man. Let's shout out everybody who is trying to be positive during all of this crisis. So just want to say thank you, Chris. Good message this morning on the intro, and just shout out all the positive people in the world.
All right, word up. I want to shout out, of course, Kreitz Market, our featured sponsor, along with the Social and Focus Fit San Marcos. Shout out my parents, Santa Buda, of course, God. Shout out Snoop Daniel and Flex ATX, everybody that was on the watch party. Anthony Lopez was on there, Mike Watson, Melanie Melanson. Let's see, Veronica Croner. She's a new one. She's a fellow Manor ISD employee. And shout out to everybody.
Shout out Manor ISD.
Yeah, word up. And shout out to everybody that's joining us every Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Of course, we did Thursday night because I had something going on. Wednesday night, Emo says, "Go Dolphins." I don't know why he's just man. He's consistently on this Dolphins kick. And if you missed the message from Creeper about being positive, I'll play it again as soon as Paul does his thing. All right, Paul Rodriguez, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And everybody on YouTube, hit the bell. We'll let you know when we upload. We gone.
I had a pretty good day.